So, as someone who uses both Instagram and YouTube for entertainment, jiu-jitsu clips, advertising, business, reaching people, though less so, I use them for advertising because advertising, I have my own thoughts on advertising. But I use these things to reach people, and I try to understand how people advertise on them to educate myself on business and just educate myself on like if I'm going to be on YouTube or Instagram. So first of all, I'm on YouTube because YouTube tends to favor people with a longer attention span. So that's where I favor YouTube. YouTube also has long-term content optimization instead of short-term content optimization via Instagram. But YouTube has also been doing the reels or shorts for less time than Instagram. So Instagram's algorithm does have more content. So it's interesting. I'm going to compare basically, I'm going to scroll each of them for 5 minutes. And I'm going to compare, and I'll kind of like turn the volume on my phone up so you can hear what I'm hearing. I'll comment on it, and I'll scroll for like 5 minutes on each, and I'll write down my the top five things I see. And I'll kind of use that to compare. I mean, this is obviously my feed, so it's optimized to me, but I just thought this would be kind of a silly video, and I wanted to do it. So I'm going to set that timer. So I'm just going to click on this
Mikey had a goal.
jiu-jitsu clip first. I see some scrolling.
Stepped over here into this triangle, turned it into an armbar. What a finish.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely clinical. I got to say, that was a supreme display of technique, and that triangle armbar was razor sharp. Mikey,
the mount, and also going in and out of half guard at will.
People don't understand. Here's what they don't get. Sometimes you need to realize that you're living in a fucking lie. And by a lie, what I mean is a bubble. Okay, and what I mean by a bubble is sometimes you have opportunities that are just so fucking amazing and so ridiculous, and you so don't deserve that. Like, I so don't deserve what I have. That's not low self-esteem. I have
this is just living in the United States.
Like farmers and chopped down logs and went to
and like having health.
Shit like that. And they got paid 1% of what I ever got paid. But because
I don't think I ever thought of building a startup. I just started solving anybody inside of your internal circle.
So that was an ad. That's why I don't really believe in ads.
Anybody inside of your internal circle should.
But Andrew Tate though just makes content. So it's on YouTube, gets cut for Instagram. I think it's a hierarchy here, but
never be a liar. You can have people who disagree with you. You can have people who perhaps do not share your
I don't really care to listen to his opinion right now.
UFC fighters in particular are not the same professional athlete as your NBA, NHL, NFL, MLB professional athlete. And what I mean by this is if you train MMA long enough, especially in a hotbed like South Florida, that's where I'm from, and you get really good at it, eventually you're going to step on the mats with ranked fighters in the UFC, ranked fighters in Bellator, one championship.
Yeah,
PFL,
this is true.
It happens every single day. Average guy works at 9 to 5, does not have any plans to fighting, but he's just a savage when it comes to jiu-jitsu or a savant when it comes to Muay Thai. I promise you, after he's clocking out of his shift, he's going and he's getting rounds in with your favorite fighters. It happens all the time. So when you hear someone online on social media say, oh, I trained with so-and-so before, if they look like they know what they're talking about, they look like they've trained before, and there's a look, and they sound like it too, because you know when someone's talking out of their ass, they might not be. Like, they might be telling the truth. It happens all the time. It's not like some guy that plays rec basketball for fun with his boys saying, oh...
So this guy's just talking about how if you do wrestling, jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, any of the MMA long enough, you'll end up training with pro fighters, which is totally true. I mean, I train with this guy, Charles Bishop, at NESF, who trained with Gabriel Gonzaga for his comeback. We'd have people in the gym. So, like, you just train with people. Like, there's, like, guys I know from college who are currently doing pro MMA, but I used to train with them all the time. And, like, right now at my current jiu-jitsu gym, BTT, there's, like, multiple people that are competing at a world-class level. It's really quite interesting.
James and Katie, like,
but, that's kind of a boring one. It's just like, ever notice how culture's being stripped of color?
Watch me cut my expenses in half.
That's an ad.
We had a lot of college students working at our ministry.
I don't really care.
There's been a rise in anti-Semitism.
Marcus Aurelius owns Rome. Essentially, his word is law. Now, for almost all the Roman emperors, they lived scandalous lives and they disgraced themselves. They were much more concerned with indulging their sensual appetites.
Originally, people were saying...
I got a question for you.
In 2020, there was a white anarchist who would go around and they would...
Hi, I'm Robert F. Kennedy Jr. On my first day at work here at HHS,
I want to take this moment to say a few words.
This might be my easiest historical recipe.
People who have bad relationships with their parents have completely.
I don't really want to hear about that. There's a lot of people just talking about relationship stuff, and it'll poison your mind because they have no idea what they're talking about, but you listen to them like they do. This is the guy being beaten at a jiu-jitsu gym. I don't know what the context is. It's kind of weird.
Launder your money. I went and purchased a cheaper house that needed.
Actually, this woman's decent for parenting stuff. I've seen like 2 or 3 reels of hers, and I'm like, nice. Specifically, I like the not questions, and then also like the way she talks about children leading playtime. I mean, this is all stuff like my mom could tell me, but it's like it's just cool actually. I mean, it's just good like hearing him scrolling. I'm like, wow.
Okay, let's get your coat on. We're heading out the door now. And if they don't do it, I grab their hand and I take the coat in the other hand and I walk them out. They'll eventually clue in that when I say something that's happening, I might give them a bit of warning. We're leaving in 20 minutes or something. But yeah, I don't repeat myself. As soon as you repeat yourself, they won. And they know it. They don't want to be leading you around. They don't want to be rude to you. And you said, what happens if they don't listen? It's not them, it's you. You just don't know how to talk to them. So they will listen to a leader. They will tune you out if you're not a leader. So work on yourself. Remember, we're never fixing kids here. We're fixing and teaching parents. So yeah, they will listen to.
I like the South Park episode where Cartman's mom trains him. So now that's Instagram over. Let me restart. So now I'm just restarting it on YouTube. I actually don't remember. I can't like write down my top 5 clips because I don't really remember them. They're not as memorable, which is just says a lot that like you don't really wait. Good, start down.
For the ancient Greeks, beauty was pretty important. In fact, being physically beautiful was often considered to correlate to internal beauty, meaning that if you were good looking,
yeah, like just immediately higher quality.
Mathematician Pythagoras tells us from his
much higher quality. This is why I like YouTube.
To determine beauty indicated that symmetrical faces were the most beautiful. The most sought after traits were likely the most rare. Red hair,
like this is just immediately a unique video I've never seen before by a creator with a perspective I'm interested in. Everything else I've already heard before. Like, it's all remix. This is actually unique thought, which is interesting. Though most of YouTube is filtered through books and movies.
Troy, the most beautiful woman in the world, as having long golden red hair and blue eyes. Women who had curvaceous figures and even pouches of fat were deemed beautiful, as we see exemplified by the depictions of Aphrodite. This was indicative of a woman's class and health. Men strived for the look made famous in Greek sculptures, big muscles and hard abs. Having a small penis, like many of the statues, was a sign of civility and purity, whilst having a large one was indicative of gluttony and barbarism.
Tenochtitlan became the Switzerland of the Valley
this is
of
another
Mexico.
really
It declared
interesting
itself
one.
to be neutral, like Switzerland, and then said, you need to trade? Come here and do it. We're setting up a marketplace, and anybody who needs to trade with anybody, no questions asked, ever, can come here and safely trade because we will not allow any conflicts on the island. And then they took it up a notch. They created official state weights and measures, and then they deployed a police force into the marketplace.
I've already subscribed to this guy. I like this guy. He's interesting. I have to watch him more, but I'm going down his YouTube rabbit hole.
You could call the police over, and the police would whip out
This
their
is
scale,
interesting.
and
This
they'd
is just
take the official
quality.
weights, and they weigh that merchant's weights against their weights. And if the merchant was cheating you because they had fake weights, the Aztec police carried a sword with them, and they executed the merchant right then and right there in front of everybody.
That could be used to get rid of political adversaries, though.
And what's your business?
Clip from Yes Man.
Celebrities' faces. So what do you think?
I think yes.
You decided you were going to name him Donald Jr. What did your Donald say at that point?
I said, no. You cannot name him. Donald Trump Jr. I said, why not?
Celebrity.
General Marshal, in defense of the royal government of King
Napoleon,
Louis
very good movie.
request that you surrender your weapons and cease your march so that you may be arrested and returned to your island.
Sleep in the Middle Ages was very different from sleep today. People in the Middle Ages generally slept biphasically, which means in 2 stages. You will fall asleep when the sun goes down. You will sleep for a few hours, and then you might get up, maybe around 11, midnight. You might do some chores. You might have sex. You might visit your neighbors. In
the early days of Christianity, there was a group of hardcore believers called the Stylites, and they proved their faith by living on top of pillars, sometimes for years at a time. They had a little bucket with a rope to bring up their food and to send down their business. The most renowned was Simeon the Stylite, who lived on top of a pillar for 36 years near Aleppo,
I gotta look in and see if that's
faith
real.
Which helped earn him sainthood. Inspired by Simeon the Stylite, a monk named Wolflake.
Okay, I'm gonna like verify this because that sounds crazy, but this is interesting. Like YouTube will send you to Google. So, Stylite, Simeon Stylites, 36 years in a small. Holy cow, that's real. That's real. Okay, yes, this is like YouTube is just so
Inspired by Simeon the
quality.
Stylite, a monk named Wolflake.
I didn't even. I'm like an Orthodox religious scholar, and I didn't even know this.
To stand on top, and he lived there day in, day out without.
Clearly, I'm not. Well, I mean, there's obviously always gonna be stuff I don't know, but YouTube could find it for me, and I'm interested in it. That's why I like YouTube. It's just such an interesting invention. I think it's going to be more revolutionary as the printing press. And I'd like to be a part of that.
Wolflake's pillar was outside of Trier in modern-day Germany. He was up there to preach, to try to convince people to stop worshiping Roman gods and to become Christians. The thing was, it was considerably colder in northern Europe than it was in Syria. He's shivering up there all winter. His beard is covered with all sorts of frozen snot. His feet keep freezing, and his toenails repeatedly fall off. So eventually, the bishops watching all of this from the ground realize that what he's doing is going to be bad PR for the church. And they're like, Wolflake, you got to come down from up there. You're getting too cold. And he's like, nah, my faith is too strong. You can't make me come down. So eventually they talk up to him and they're like, hey, Wolflake, you got to come down. If there's an official church meeting, everybody's got to be there. Wolflake, being the obedient church servant, reluctantly comes down the ladder.
Yeah.
Goes to this sham meeting. And of course, while he was there, the bishops had organized to have the pillar taken down.
Yeah, don't trust people, you know.
Remained grounded for the rest
Gotta
of
be
his
paranoid.
days, but he did become a saint. In the early days of Christianity, there was a
Yeah,
group of
YouTube is
hardcore-
just so much higher quality than Instagram. That's the moral of the story, guys. If you want to actually learn something potentially and scroll, YouTube is better, I guess, if you're the kind of person who the algorithm gives good things to. I don't really know what the algorithm gives you, but hope this is useful.